Saint-Germain in the membrane, insane is the end game. Cure sacrifices a goat, 7-month early. Listen to me, try to believe, because I deceive. I deceive. That it heals for those who can see. Saint-Germain in the membrane, insane is the end game. You are to blame when I created the game. Let's do that, Saint-Germain. Let's do that, Saint-Germain. Let's dance, pretend we're friends, and pretentious and contentious. Let's be Saint-Germain. Let's be Saint-Germain.
All right, welcome back to Not My Rabbit Hole, and welcome if you're just joining me for right now. We are, I'm exploring the influence of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal just on the Trump administration from the first election to this election. And so now I've asked ChatGPT to can you, let me see, I'm going to give you my specific answer. Can you give me a deep search on this topic? What did I do? All right, yeah. First, I basically asked, what influence did the Jeffrey Epstein scandal have on the 2024 presidential election? Okay, that's the question. And then it brought some stuff up. And read the conclusion, because then I realized because on ChatGPT there you can do a deep search, and I really want to do a deep search on this. So then I'll just share the screen right now. Let me share the screen here. So it says, can you do, so basically I asked that question, right? And then I stopped myself because it gave me some, an answer, it gave me an overall assessment. It said that it inspired internal MAGA debate, Base demanded action, administration deflected, became a vehicle for the broader elite mistrust, symbolic of corrupt cover-ups, faded from public and campaign narratives, no major voter. Okay, recent 2020. Epstein outcry prompts warning to Trump's from MAGA leaders, a huge risk. It's kind of like summary. Epstein was never a frontline campaign issue in the public view. It slightly affected MAGA morale, but didn't sway broad voter decisions. Because this is just the short one. But then, I stopped myself. I said I want to do a deep search. And then it came back to me. It says, to ensure I provide a thorough and relevant deep search, could you confirm what specific aspects of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal's influence on the 2024 election you'd like me to focus on? For example, how did it affect Trump's campaign strategy and MAGA base, reactions from opponents or Democratic campaigns, broader media coverage and narrative framing, public opinion, disinformation, or conspiracy theories? So I did the top 4, and then I added answer whether Trump promised to expose the Epstein client list during his campaign. I added that because that's more, because I know he did that. I've looked at other coverage as well that, part of his promise to us was that the Jeffrey Epstein client list was going to be exposed by the FBI. We've been waiting for Pam Bondi. We've been waiting for Kash Patel. This is a big deal. We've been waiting for these documents, just like we've been waiting for, the JFK assassination. We've been waiting for Martin Luther King Jr.'s, Trump said he was going to have these documents unsealed and made available to the public. Martin Luther King Jr.'s death, John F. Kennedy's death, and the Jeffrey Epstein client list. And I beg to differ that the one that most people are really wanting to see at this point is the Jeffrey Epstein client list, because it is linked to the narrative that it is part of the draining the swamp, that the liberals have been guilty of this, associated with the Clintons, and really, if you're just joining me, I've spent a whole lot of time trying to, researching the influence of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal on the 2016 election. And yeah, it did have an influence on it. There were right-wing or conservative media outlets that were linking Bill Clinton to the Lolita flights, going from Fox News, everything. It was Breitbart wrote about it. It was an undercurrent of media that happened during that time, during that election. But it did say that it mostly focused on Hillary's, campaign donations and the deleted emails, and all these other scandals were focused. But both sides did not want to touch the Jeffrey Epstein topic, because at that time he'd been arrested, served time. He was a registered sex offender, and so it wasn't. If you compare the 2016 election to the 2024 election, there's a whole lot of things that happened with Epstein at that point, and so, but it was still there. It was still there, and it was still on everybody's mind. Everybody wanted to know what happened to the client list. We were all upset that we didn't get to see the Ghislaine Maxwell trial televised. I think, like most of us, there are mysterious deaths of people associated with it, starting right now with the death of Virginia Giuffre. So these things are they're a part. There's a question, like it's one of those things, like who shot JFK? It's like, well, what is the client list? Yeah, it makes Heidi Fleiss's little book scandal look like, like that was just nothing. It was a big deal then, but this is way bigger because we're dealing with minors. And what I thought was interesting in the search that I did earlier was that there was a scandal with a 13-year-old girl between Jeffrey Epstein and Trump that was percolating a little bit, and she was going to go to trial, but she was afraid for her death and dropped the charges, like literally, like within the time frame of the election, within days of the election. So there's also that, ladies and gentlemen, all right, which I didn't know until today, until I started doing this search. Thanks for confirming. I'll conduct a comprehensive investigation into how the Jeffrey Epstein scandal influenced the 2024 presidential election. So it's still analyzing here. So while we're analyzing, and I'm while I'm analyzing, is David Schurter on today? I'm just curious. Let me take a look at that. So David Schurter is scheduled to stream at noon today. So in a half an hour, David Schurter is going to go off. Oh, good Lord. And that saga goes on and on. I was thinking of like putting in, since we're talking about David Schurter, well, I don't know if I can do more than one search at a time, but I was looking into David Schurter's allegations of having a connection to Michael Aquino, and I did a really quick AI overview. Maybe I should just go ahead and like read the quick AI overview on whether or not David Schurter has had. Is there any evidence that that David Schurter ever knew Michael Aquino? And I just, on my phone, I looked this up, and it says evidence from various sources suggests that David Schurter and Michael Aquino did not personally know each other. David Schurter was an author known for the book Rabbit Hole, which detailed his personal experiences with ritual abuse. Michael Aquino was a military officer and the founder of the Temple of Set, a religious organization focused on the worship of Set, an ancient Egyptian deity. While Schurter's experience occurred in Omaha, Aquino's activities with the Temple of Set and his military service were in different locations, primarily in San Francisco, according to Wikipedia. There's no information suggesting Schurter was involved with the Temple of Set or that Aquino was involved in the events described in Rabbit Hole. In conclusion, there is no evidence to suggest that David Schurter and Michael Aquino knew each other. Okay. All right, it's ready. The ChatGPT is ready. It's done a deep search on my question or questions, right? And here we go. The Epstein scandal's influence on the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Introduction. Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking. Give me a little more light on here. Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking scandal and mysterious 2019 death cast a long shadow over American politics, even years later. Epstein's ties to elite figures from former President Bill Clinton to British royalty and Donald Trump himself, and the speculation around his death in jail officially ruled a suicide, made his case fertile ground for conspiracy theories. By the 2024 election cycle, the Epstein scandal had evolved into a political flashpoint. It became a tool for campaign messaging. a talking point in partisan media, and an ammunition for conspiracy movements that thrived on the notion of a hidden elite pedophile ring. This report examines how Epstein's ghost influenced the 2024 presidential race, from Donald Trump's campaign strategy and the MAGA base's reactions to Democratic candidates' responses, media narratives, public opinion, and the saga of Trump's promise to expose Epstein's client list. Trump's campaign strategy and the MAGA base. Donald Trump's 2024 campaign actively harnessed the Epstein scandal to reinforce his anti-elite, drain the swamp narrative. Trump positioned himself as the outsider who would finally expose long-hidden truths that the establishment supposedly covered up, providing Americans the truth, as one White House memo framed it, became a theme of his campaign and prospective second-term agenda. This included pledges to declassify secret files on touchstone conspiracy topics, from the JFK assassination to the Epstein files. Trump leaned into the idea that previously withheld revelations would vindicate his supporters' suspicions about corrupt elites. The promise of exposing Epstein's secrets was politically useful to him, allowing Trump to cast himself as the one champion of voters kept in the dark by a powerful cabal. And this is from an article. We're going to look at some of the links now. I know the other stuff I didn't look at the links, but this part we're gonna definitely look, because this is where the real crux is. I mean, you can say, yeah, there was an influence on the 2016 election. There wasn't a slight influence on voters' minds, associating the Trump, the Clintons, to this elite cabal that is harming or grooming young women and sexually assaulting them, etc. It goes into all this area that was percolating. That was a shadow ghost in maybe changing the minds of some neutral voters out there. Now we're going to talk about how Trump, because this is what pisses me off about Trump. I'm just going to be real frank right now. It really bothers me how Trump waved his hands and gaslit America. Like, oh, you're still wondering about the client list? Let's move on. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Like, he gaslit us. He gaslit us after there was no client list. That is, to me, that's unacceptable, and especially unacceptable when he used that promise in his campaign. That is why I'm doing this today. I don't know about you, but I feel really angry about that. I'm not really angry, but I'm vocal. I'm being vocal about it. So this is the Atlantic. Explicit Epstein-related promises became part of the Trump's messaging. In September of 2024 interview, Trump said, "I'd be inclined to do the Epstein files. I'd have no problem with it if reelected." This is reported again in theatlantic.com. Same article. On Fox News and on Fox and Friends weekend during the campaign, he was asked if he would declassify the Epstein files as president. Trump answered, "Yeah, I think I would." He did add a caveat about not wanting to harm anyone with phony information, but affirmed the intent to release the files. Trump's close allies amplified this pledge. For instance, Kash Patel, apparently personal friend of Thomas Schoenberger, a Trump loyalist who frequently stoked Epstein conspiracies, urged that President Trump should run on it. On day one, roll out the Epstein Black Book. This is reported by FoxNews.com. This signaled to the MAGA base that a second Trump term would finally reveal Epstein's purported client list of the high-profile accomplices. This strategy energized a segment of Trump's base, particularly followers of the 17th letter of the alphabet conspiracy cult. 17th letter of the alphabet believers had long idolized Trump as a savior figure who would expose a global ring of pedophiles embedded in the deep state. The Epstein scandal, with its rich mix of sex crimes, powerful figures, and a suspicious death, was essentially a more palatable and plausible version of the 17th letter of the alphabet conspiracy theory, minus some of the 17th letter anons, more outlandish elements. So that's true. Like when Isaac Happy was talking about this and doing the Media Matrix song, and the Mossad Media Matrix, the Epstein jackets and brackets, right? I just played a little bit of a portion of that song right now. Because he got arrested again, and the unaliving happened, and Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, when we look at Isaac Capper, we go, oh, he was legitimate. He was saying, that he was talking about Jeffrey Epstein and putting it out there before everybody else is. But as you can see from earlier on this stream, where I researched what the media was saying about Donald Trump and everything like that. That was around the 2016 election. All those narratives were being discussed already, even in the mainstream media. So, yes, Isaac Cappy fueled that out, but he also fueled it underneath MAGA, and he also fueled it underneath the 17th letter of the alphabet conspiracy, which made people think that there was drops happening within the government, somebody with Q clearance. When in fact, all these things were already being investigated, at least by the media, and being talked about on the mainstream media going back to 2016 and before that group actually happened. But as you can see here, ChatGPT is discussing it. Like there is a definite link between these narratives that happened on 4chan and also what's been happening politically, and also what Trump is basically was promising to expose. And Kash Patel was also seen as being part of a group of people who could be labeled under doing conspiracies about the client list. And now he's the director of the FBI, and he shows up and says, oh, I don't have anything. Yeah, right. Then Trump gaslights everybody. Oh, you're still interested in this? No, yeah, well, it's been in front of our face the whole entire time. Associated with the 17th letter of the alphabet, which is a part of his contingencies, which is part of his voters. There was a direct association between these conspiracies and Trump. This strategy energized segment of Trump's base, particularly followers of the 17th. Okay, so I read that part. Yet Trump handled the Epstein topic selectively. On one hand, he allowed surrogate and friendly media to tout his rare promise keeper reputation on releasing Epstein info. and that is Oshi.com. On the other, Trump treaded carefully in public forums, aware of his own past ties to Epstein. Epstein frequently Mar-a-Lago in the 1990s. In 2002, Trump even remarked Epstein. And we'll do it again. I read this. This has popped up several times in this search or on these searches. In 2002, Trump even remarked Epstein, Epstein likes little girls. No. In 2002, Trump even remarked Epstein likes girls on the younger side, a quote that Democrats would never let him forget. Trump generally avoided invoking Epstein at major rallies or debates, instead using coded language against sick people and child predators to nod toward the 17th letter of the alphabet themes. This careful dance was evident in October 2024 when Trump held a massive rally at Madison Square Garden. He doubled down on red meat issues like immigration and hurled insults at Democrats, but made no mention of Epstein by name. The strategy was to fire up the base with conspiratorial undertones without alienating moderate voters with overt talk of Epstein. In essence, Trump welcomed the Epstein chatter in the MAGA ecosystem, but kept it at arm's length and broader campaign messaging. Nonetheless, the issue did influence Trump's relationship with his base. It created a sort of unspoken contract. If they delivered him in victory, he would deliver the truth about Epstein. This ideal was cemented by Trump's choices of personnel. His campaign and post-election staffing sent strong signals. He floated loyalists like Patel and Dan Bongino, both known for pushing wild Epstein theories for top law enforcement posts. As one analyst noted, he specifically nominated people who have been engaged in conspiracy theories for the past 5+ years, implicitly promising that they would pursue those theories in office. All of this fed an expectation that Trump win in 2024 would mean justice for Epstein's victims and exposure of powerful predators. Hammer of justice. I know somebody who likes to put that out there on their YouTube community page. The hammer of justice is coming. Responses from Democratic opponents. Democratic candidates and their campaigns mostly approached the Epstein scandal with caution, aware of its conspiratorial minefield and bipartisan messiness. No leading Democrat centered their 2024 message on Epstein. After all, Epstein had mingled with figures from both parties, and Democrats had little to gain by inviting scrutiny of Bill Clinton's trips on Epstein's plane. Instead, Democrats used Epstein indirectly to attack Trump's credibility and fringe tendencies. One line of attack was to highlight how Trump pandered to conspiracy theorists. Democrats cited this Epstein-related promises as proof that Trump was catering to the 17th letter of the alphabet crowd instead of focusing on real issues. For example, Democratic circuits noted Trump's pledge to declassify the Epstein files, arguing this was an irresponsible indulgence of baseless conspiracy talking points. By amplifying the client list frenzy, Trump was playing to the 17th letter of the alphabet fringe. Democrats warned Biden's team generally avoided amplifying the Epstein topic so as not to legitimize it. But surrogates occasionally reminded voters that Trump himself once praised Epstein and even appointed officials who cut Epstein a sweet plea deal years ago. Oh, I didn't know that. Trump's Labor Secretary Alex Acosta infamously approved Epstein's 2008 plea bargain. The message: Trump was no crusader against Epstein's crimes. In fact, Trump's circle had enabled Epstein in the past. This context was raised in Democratic media appearances and ads, subtly painting Trump as a hypocritical on elite crime. Democrats became more vocal about Epstein as Trump's own handling of the issue started to backfire into 2025 after the election. Sensing an opportunity, opposition Democrats seized on MAGA world's Epstein-related civil war to score political points. In July 2025, with Trump in office, House Democrats led by Representative Jamie Raskin sent a formal letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, accusing her Justice of Department of withholding some of Epstein's files to protect the president from any damaging disclosures. This was prompted by a social media bombshell from Elon Musk, a former Trump ally, who had speculated that Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. And we all know this happened. This is like they're sourcing The Guardian. We all know. Most of us who've been following this, we know exactly. We know that Elon Musk said that because it's fairly recent. Now, I believe, I heard, to my understanding, he's rescinded it or something. But he did make that expose when they had their breakup, when their bromance ended. They also cited Musk's comment to suggest a cover-up. It was a clear attempt to tie Trump to Epstein's misdeeds, or at least highlight Trump's failure to be transparent despite his promises. Around the same time, Democratic Rep. Ro Khanna took a bold step in Congress in mid-July 2025 as MAGA infighting over Epstein peaked. Khanna announced he would introduce an amendment to force a vote demanding the full Epstein files be released in public. Why are the Epstein files still hidden? Who are the rich and powerful being protected? Khanna posted on social media saying every member of Congress should be put on record on this issue. This maneuver was designed to corner the Republican majority. If Republicans blocked the release, Democrats could accuse them of a cover-up to shield Trump or other allies. Indeed, Khanna's gambit aimed to squash any both sides on the hiding list narrative and put the onus on the GOP to live up to Trump's own rhetoric, as one observer noted on a discussion forum. Democratic campaign messaging in 2024 also occasionally highlighted absurdity of Trump's Epstein promises. For instance, when Trump allies were hyping a supposed trove of incriminating Epstein evidence in mid-2024, some Democrats quipped that Trump's campaign sounded more like a 17th letter of the alphabet message board than a serious presidential bid. They pointed out that Trump's DOJ in 2019 had already investigated Epstein's death and found it to be unalived. Yet Trump's camp was now spinning fantasies of secret client lists. As CNN reported, by late 2024, mainstream experts, including Epstein case veterans, still maintain there is no client list that I'm afraid of and dismiss the list as likely as conspiracy theorist fabrication. Democrats amplified these expert views to undercut Trump's insinuations. Notably, Democrats also reminded the public that Trump was in power when Epstein died. Epstein's 2019 death occurred under the Trump administration's watch in a federal jail run by Trump's Bureau of Prisons. If there was a grand conspiracy to silence Epstein, Democrats mused it either happened under Trump's nose or not at all. This talking point was echoed by commentators and fact checkers. ABC News pointed out that Trump allies had long embraced conspiracy theories about Epstein's death, though few mentioned that Trump was president when Epstein died. This subtle reminder featured in Democratic-leaning media. If MAGA world suspected a cover-up in Epstein's fate, they'd have to reckon with Trump's own governance. In summary, Democratic opponents use the Epstein scandal defensively. They refrained from making wild claims of their own, instead focusing on Trump's behavior, his dalliance with conspiracy, his broken promises of transparency, and the potential that he might have something to hide. When Trump's base turned on him for failing to deliver on Epstein, Democrats were quick to fan the flames, launching oversight efforts and social media jabs to keep the spotlight on what they dubbed Trump's Epstein Files fiasco. This approach allowed Democrats to attack Trump's trustworthiness without having to wade into the muck of conspiracy theories themselves. Media coverage, narratives, and partisan tone. The media's treatment of the Epstein issue during the 2024 election cycle varied sharply across the political spectrum. It became a Rorschach test for partisan media narratives, with conservative outlets using it to stoke suspicions about liberal elites, and mainstream or liberal outlets highlighting it as an example of right-wing conspiracism and even Trump's possible hypocrisy. Right-wing media, Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, and popular MAGA influencers on social media platforms initially leaned into the Epstein story as potentially explosive. Throughout the 2023 and into the campaign, conservative hosts speculated about the Epstein Client List that would rock the political world. For example, Don Bongino, then a pro-Trump pundit, told his audience in September 2024 that, folks, the Epstein Client List is a huge deal. It's going to rock the Democrat Party. There's a reason why they're hiding it. He asserted a lot of names on that list would be revealed, pushing the idea that powerful Democrats and other enlightened elites were exempt from justice. This became a common narrative in right-wing media that Epstein's network included high-level Democrats, the Clintons, and often insinuated, and that a cover-up was afoot to protect them. Fox News gave the Epstein Files story significant play, especially as Trump and his allies made it a campaign issue. Conservative media. See, basically what's happened here is Trump has not followed through on his campaign. And when he didn't follow through on it, he gaslit America for wanting to know about the client list, for expecting the client list to be exposed. He gaslit America. Not only did he not follow through on his campaign promise, but he gaslit America when he didn't deliver. That is unacceptable, everybody. Unacceptable. In one December 2023 segment, Kash Patel, pre-FBI director role, claimed on air that you don't think Bill Gates is lobbying to prevent disclosure of Epstein's list, and scolded Republicans for not obtaining it. Clips like this on Fox and similar outlets reinforce the belief that bombshell evidence was supported by the powers that be. Right-leaning tabloids and blogs amplified any tidbit related to Epstein rumors of new documents, minor court filings, or statements by Ghislaine Maxwell from prison. All were spun into ongoing narratives that the truth is coming. However, as time went on and Trump's promises stalled, Conservative media faced a quandary. By early 2025, Trump's own DOJ and FBI, now led by his appointees, were publicly contradicting the fantastical expectations when a DOJ FBI memo in July 2025 announced that a systematic review revealed no incriminating client list and no evidence of Epstein blackmailing others. And this is FBI memo on July 2025. So that's coming from justice.gov. The link here is FBI. So that's, they just double linked it. It undermined years of speculation. Fox News and others had to cover the fallout. MAGA supporters' big letdown over the Epstein files became itself a news story. Fox News Digital ran a detailed piece enumerating 10 reasons why the DOJ FBI face backlash, essentially cataloging how figures like Patel, Bongino, Bondi, and Marjorie Taylor Greene had hyped the existence of a list or secret files. And this is foxnews.com, and foxnews.com is the source. This was a remarkable self-critic. Fox listed point by point each time a Republican official or influencer had raised expectations of exposing Epstein's network, e.g. Patel's comments, Trump's Fox and Friends vow, Senator Marsha Blackburn insisting accountability is coming. Bondi hiring a list was on her book. Bondi hinting a list was on her desk. By doing so, Fox tactically acknowledged the partisan narrative that had been built up and explained why the MAGA base felt betrayed when no big names were ultimately revealed. This coverage had a somewhat defensive tone, noting that multiple sources said no such list has ever surfaced, despite the lore. And this is abcnews.go.com. And quoting experts like Julie Brown, the journalist who broke the Epstein case, calling the client list story is likely grift by conspiracists. Fox News, Trump officials under fire for unfulfilled promises on Epstein documents. In contrast, mainstream and left-leaning media often portrayed the Epstein saga in 2024 as a mix of dark intrigue and political theater. Outlets like the New York Times and Washington Post reported on factual developments, e.g. documents, court cases, and generally did not treat Epstein's client list as credible without evidence. They analyzed how conspiracy theories about Epstein proliferated and seeped into politics. The Washington Post, for example, noted that by election day 2024, Americans were living in separate realities, flooded with misinformation from election lies to wild claims like elite controlling hurricanes. Epstein conspiracy theories were cited as part of the avalanche of deceptive claims, defining the campaign's information ecosystem. It's interesting that they're throwing the hurricanes in there. Conspiracy. So this was a Washington Post article. Conspiracy theories shaped the 2024 election. Liberal commentary outlets were more direct in spotlighting the irony and the hypocrisy surrounding Trump and Epstein. The Guardian ran stories on Trump rallies, mentioning that speakers would attack Democrats as degenerates and bring up various right-wing tropes. But Trump himself gave little beyond base-pleasing rhetoric and avoided substantive issues. In that context, some noted Trump preferred to tell surrogate handle topics like Epstein. So he preferred to let surrogates handle, meaning other media, and that includes us, guys. After the election, The Guardian and others published key takeaways pieces describing the MAGA meltdown over Epstein. One Guardian exclusive in July 2025 detailed how Democrats pushed to expose any Epstein-Trump links. This is The Guardian. And recapped how Bondi had spent months hyping up the Epstein materials to gin up Trump's core supporters. The tone of such coverage was often skeptical or scathing, framing the situation as Bondi's hype versus the nothing burger reality. I love that line. Wish I wrote it. Partisan differences in reporting were stark when it came up to assigning blame or motive. Conservative media tended to frame the Epstein saga as unfinished business, implying that if names weren't coming out, it was because of interference by the deep state or Democrats. This was exemplified by segments on OAN Newsmax and Newsmax, which speculated that Biden's DOJ, before Trump retook office, might have destroyed evidence, or that Epstein's secrets implicated Biden's allies, claims with no evidence but potent for fueling suspicions. On the other hand, liberal media insinuated that if anyone was being protected, it might be Trump or his friends. MSNBC anchors pointed out that Trump's name did appear in Epstein's little black book. The contracts book published by Gawker in 2015. Even if that alone meant nothing criminal, they highlighted that Trump had been closer to Epstein than admitted, noting reports that Trump flew on Epstein's private jet at least once, and that Epstein was at Mar-a-Lago regular until a falling out. Such reminders serve to undermine Trump's moral high ground on the issue. I guess it's Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago? Oh. Meanwhile, nonpartisan outlets and fact checkers aim to debunk misinformation about Epstein that circulated during the election. NPR ran pieces explaining why conspiracy theories about Jeffrey Epstein keep flourishing. They observed that Epstein's story was so tantalizing, rich, connected sex criminal dies mysteriously, that it naturally bred rumor. NPR's Untangling Disinformation series in January 2024 warned how new court document releases had set a fresh round of conspiracy theories in certain communities. And this one that's NPR. It gave examples of viral false claims. One theory was that a school shooting in Iowa was staged to distract from imminent Epstein reveal, while another claimed the buzz about Epstein list was itself a distraction from evidence that Trump won in 2020. These contradictory narratives.
I found this on the web. Was that a school shooting in Iowa staged to distract them? Eminent Epstein revealed, while another claimed the buzz about Epstein list was a distraction from evidence that Trump won in 2020. Check it out.
Thank you, Siri. That's weird. Siri confirmed this. Siri's listening. Well, at least I have Siri logged in and listening to this live stream. Thank you. Thank you for paying attention. Uh-oh. Okay, anyway. That was so weird. AI is taking over everybody. These contradictory narratives illustrated that Epstein had become a malleable symbol. Conspirators could bend Epstein to fit any storyline, making him a permanent fixture in online election discourse. NPR also noted an interesting twist. Epstein conspiracies across the ideological spectrum more than most theories because Epstein had high-profile friends in both parties. This meant coverage of Epstein had to navigate not just partisan bias, but a broader public cynicism. In summary, media coverage during 2024 ensured that Epstein remained in the national conversation, but often for different ends. The right treated Epstein as a smoking gun that was about to implicate their enemies until proven otherwise, while the center left treated the obsession with Epstein as a phenomenon to be explained, either as troubling evidence of mass conspiratorial thinking or as a political liability for Trump. By election day, major narratives had formed. The MAGA camp was convinced Epstein's secrets would eventually vindicate them, whereas the others saw that MAGA fascination with Epstein as a cautionary tale of disinformation power in modern elections. Public opinion, disinformation, and conspiracy theories. From 2019 onward, public opinion about the Epstein case became a barometer of Americans' mistrust in institutions. By the time of 2024 election, a significant chunk of the public firmly believed the darkest theories. Polls showed that nearly half of Americans doubted the official account of Epstein's death. In fact, as early as 2019, 45% Americans believed Epstein was murdered, up to 34% just months prior, an extraordinary figure given no evidence of homicide. The meme, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, went fully mainstream, popping up in everyday conversations and internet jokes. This widespread belief united people across partisan lines in cynicism. The idea that powerful people got to Epstein appealed to both far-right Clinton haters and some of the left suspicious of Trump's DOJ. In essence, Epstein's death became a national shorthand for elite conspiracy. This mood heavily influenced the 2024 election course, priming voters to entertain other conspiracies as well. Disinformation related to Epstein swirled through social media during the campaign. With every new development, a court document unsealed, a minor associate's arrest, etc., false or exaggerated stories would emerge. For example, when some John Doe files were unsealed in early 2024, online forums, it lit up with false accusations. Just do this again. For example, when some John Doe files were unsealed in early 2024, online forums lit up with false accusations trying to tie completely unrelated figures to Epstein. Oh, well, David Schroeder does that right all the time. And, it's 12/11. So I bet he's saying that right now on his channel about me and some other people because, he's been telling people, don't focus on Jeffrey Epstein. The real worker bees in this is me and Daniel Dowd and Geo Farnsworth and a bunch of other people that I'm sure they won't want me to mention their name. What is David Schroeder doing any different than any of this stuff that is crazy? I know he's streaming right now, but we're not going over there right at the moment. Conspiracy influencers often, others asserted that any lack of news on Epstein's proved a cover-up. This scattershot approach, linking Epstein to virtually anything, showed how malleable and useful his story has become in conspiracy-minded communities. Epstein's name became a vessel for whatever paranoia one wanted to project. And I'm sure right now David Schroeder is projecting that paranoia on his channel. Paranoia on his channel. I bet right now as we speak he's going to go through it And then he's going to ask for a donation. And by the way, speaking of asking for a donation, I am asking for let's take a donation break for me. If you would like to support my channel, you can buy me. You go to I've got buymecoffee.com/Tere Joyce. I'm gonna do like a really quick ticker tape of where you can find me. My PayPal is Hollywood Hemptress, and I am kind of hurting right now. I'm in between jobs. I start working next month. I have $6.10 on my bank account, plus maybe $60 in my savings, and I'm pretty much living off of credit cards until I go back to work and I get my scholarships and grants and whatever else. I'm going back to work 2 jobs. So if you want to support this channel, you want to support me, you want to support my work here on YouTube, as well as what I'm doing in my life, learning to become a good journalist, because we need them right now in the media, and I am working towards that goal. So if you'd like to help me out, you can do that way. And I accept super chats or super thanks here on the channel. So at the very least, if you're not able to help me at this time or contribute to Not My Rabbit Hole, then if you could give this video a like and a share, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Not My Rabbit Hole for more Not My Rabbit Hole content. And this is a ever-changing, budding channel, so I'm excited to create varying degrees of content that I hope that you will enjoy, possibly like this one right here. So I'm going to put the fair use banner back on again, but yeah. Okay, so let's continue. I mean, I know David Schroeder's asking for money, and I'm probably more broke than David Schroeder right now. So I don't like to cry me a river or panic or whatever, but I am a little bit strapped at this moment. And I'm not making it up. Okay. So let's continue. So where did I leave off? The demand of conspiracy may well outstrip the supply. One media scholar observed capturing how hungry segments of the electorate were for narratives like the Epstein saga. And this is the Washington Post. Let's go back here. The sentiment fed into the larger narrative Trump pushed that the system is rigged and hiding horrible truths. Polling by 2024 indicated a broad openness to such ideas. Commentators noted that conspiracy thinking was no longer side/show in elections, but a core strategy to mobilize voters' emotions. Washington Post. The demand for conspiracy may well outstrip the supply, one media scholar observed, capturing how hungry segments of the electorate were for narratives like the Epstein saga. Again, Washington Post. That's the source. The Epstein case also spawned a cottage industry of conspiracy entrepreneurs. Personalities on YouTube, podcasts, and X, Twitter leverage Epstein-related rumors to gain followings and even sell merchandise. 17th letter of the alphabet affiliated influencers in particular would frequently tease major Epstein revelations coming soon, keeping their audience hooked and donating. As one researcher told NPR, these conspiracy narratives don't get to a point where they say, mystery solved, our work is done here. Instead, they are unending, always evolving, a trait perfectly illustrated by Epstein's continually morphing lore. For instance, when official evidence disproved one theory, believers simply adapted after. Trump's own officials stated definitively that Epstein died by unalive and not client list exits. Many in the conspiracy world did not abandon their beliefs. Instead, new theories bloomed. Some claimed Trump's people must now be in on it, while others like Alex Jones pivoted to say Trump actually has the list and is using it in secret blackmail. Trump actually has the list and is using it in secret to blackmail the deep state. That's the Atlantic again. In this way, the Epstein saga in 2024 demonstrates the self-reinforcing nature of disinformation and public opinion. Contradictory evidence is either dismissed as part of the conspiracy or woven into a new, more elaborate theory. Notably, public figures helped fan the flames. In the midst of the 2024 race, Twitter ex-owner Elon Musk increasingly engaged in conspiratorial musings. In June 2025, as Musk fell out with Trump, he tweeted to his millions of followers, "Time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public." And this was covered by ABC News. Though Musk deleted the post, its shockwaves were left. Musk had earlier also indulged suggestions that a prominent foreign intelligence agency, hinted by Mossad, might have been behind Epstein, a theory laced with anti-Semitic overtones that circulates on the fringe. Isn't that interesting? Just one more second. Let's go back for a second. I mean, I know here we got. Oh, good afternoon, TPE. Hi, Solo Bunny. Hi. Hi, Paul Shields. Welcome, guys. Okay, let me go back. Let's play this for a second. I want to go back to brackets and jackets. And I would say Isaac Cappy was one of these influencers, right? I mean, not during this election, but throughout this whole time, pre Epstein's arrest.
Hello, guys. Something special is happening in here. That's right. It's brackets and jackets. Bringing it back for brackets and jackets. Special Epstein Island edition. That's right, folks. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti. That's right. You see, this man, Jeffrey Epstein, is funding lots of people. He's funding lots of people on the street to make sure his shit doesn't get out. That's right. They want the record sealed. And they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh, boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America. And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them.
Okay, so you heard that. Mossad American Media Matrix. I mean, what is it? Like, wait, let's do it again. I can't get it right.
And they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh, boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America.
Mossad Media Matrix in America. Okay, so it's kind of interesting to me in the sense, right, that this is coming up here. Like there's a reference, right? Notable figures, public figures helped fan the flames. Elon Musk, blah, 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 blah. Though Musk deleted the post. Okay, though Musk deleted the post, its shockwaves were felt Musk had earlier also indulged suggestions that a prominent foreign intelligence agency hinted to be Mossad might have been behind Epstein, a theory laced with anti-Semitic overtones that circulated on the fringe. Now, this is written by theatlantic.com. Such interventions by influential people lent a veneer of legitimacy for some to the wildest ideas. Misinformation flowed freely, amplified by algorithms and partisan echo chambers. So I'm just saying that there's this has been running. There's that part of it that connects to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal fiasco. TPE Phoenix says there was a very good chance that Isaac was pulled into an op and was executing that op. And he says Mossad Media Matrix. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. Let's see, where was I? Okay. Importantly, belief of Epstein-related conspiracies shaped election discourse by hardening tribal worldviews. Trump's base saw the Epstein saga as proof that the swamp, FBI, DOJ, Clinton world, etc., would stop at nothing to protect itself, reinforcing that their support for Trump as an existential necessity. On the flip side, many moderate and liberal voters saw the right's fixation on Epstein as a disturbing sign of detachment from reality, making them more wary of Trumpism. One Washington Post piece on 2024 conspiracies noted how Americans were retreating into splintered reality camps where a shared set of facts no longer exists. Epstein was a prime example to millions. On the right, he symbolized the heinous crimes the elites will cover up, while others, he symbolized the dangerous conspiratorial mindset of MAGA. This divide influenced how voters evaluated the candidates. Debates about policy often got overshadowed by discussions or online fights about things like Epstein's death or the fabled client list. As one information expert observed, conspiracy theories can detract from constructive political engagement, instead trapping people in a cynical, angry space. The 2024 election saw that dynamic in action. In sum, Epstein saga, though rooted in real criminal case, took on almost mythic status in the public imagination by 2024. It fueled disinformation, was co-opted by unrelated conspiracies, and deepened the cultural divide. Whether it was chants of Epstein at rallies or viral memes declaring Epstein cover-up proves everything. The scandal's greatest impact was arguably psychological. It became a shorthand for distrust and shaped how Americans view the election. And let's play, I need to take just a little bit of a have you seen the Mossad Media Matrix map that Isaac drew? No, I have not. Is it on your, is it on, do you have it published on your map, Corey? So let's play a little bit more brackets and jackets. I mean, because here, isn't bracket and jackets kind of giving you the client list or what we would think the client list was? Let's play some more.
And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them. Prove me wrong. That's right. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the building with songs about Epstein. It's Brackets and Jackets Epstein edition. Guys, I had some epiphanies today. I had some real big epiphanies about some guys. A big network of guys and spies and lies and liars. All right, think about this for a minute, okay? The guy in Portland, the scientist that just got busted for producing CP, that guy is 1 degree of separation away from Epstein. Epstein, the investor that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know a guy who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida as well. Investor as well. Also involved as well. And all is not well with these guys. The Florida boys, the Glow boys, the Scott Israels of the world. You see, Epstein is Hillary Clinton. And Epstein is Haiti. And Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon is going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein?
And if you think about it, we knew these things already without even seeing the client list. There was already an association to Kevin Spacey, pictures of them together, all of this, and then Oprah's really under fire right now. So in a way, I think that yeah. Okay, so let's continue. I'm almost done here, I think. Trump's promise to reveal the Epstein client list and how it evolved. A central question in the saga is whether Donald Trump explicitly promised to release or expose Epstein's so-called client list during the 2024 campaign, and how that promise played out. The record shows that Trump did make such commitments, albeit in his characteristic hedging style, and the issue became a post-election albatross for him. During the campaign, Trump and his team repeatedly implied that a trove of hidden Epstein evidence would be made public if he won. As noted, Trump told Fox News he would declassify the Epstein files. And this is reported in this is foxnews.com. He echoed this on other platforms, Lex Friedman's podcast in 2024 rally interviews, etc., leaving the clear impression that a vote for Trump was a vote to finally get to the bottom of Epstein's mystery. Allies like Marsha Blackburn and Marjorie Taylor Greene publicly pressed the issue as well. Blackburn vowed in early 2024 that Epstein's clients list is key to cracking this trafficking ring wide open, and that accountability is coming. Greene flatly stated, "No one believes there's not a client list," signaling that a list must exist and should be exposed. All of this created an expectation among Trump's base that Trump explicitly intended to publish Epstein's list of co-conspirators. Indeed, many supporters said they voted for him because of this promise. Wow. Once Trump hypothetically returned to the White House in January 2025, the Epstein promise was put to the test. Initially, it seemed he might follow through. Only a week after inauguration, Trump signed an executive order on providing Americans the truth, that including prioritizing release of Epstein documents. Attorney General Pam Bondi, whom Trump appointed and who had hyped Epstein revelations, claimed her DOJ was working hard on it. In February 2025, Bondi even said on Fox News that a list of Epstein's clients was sitting on my desk right now to review at Trump's directive. And that is reported by Fox News. That remark was excitement through MAGA circles. It sounded like confirmation that a secret list existed and was about to drop. Bondi later walked back with this comment, clarifying she meant the entire Epstein case file was under review, not literal single list document. But by then, the narrative had taken on a life of its own. In late February 2025, the first batch of Epstein files was released, an event that would prove a turning point. The White House invited a group of pro-Trump social media influencers and handed them binders labeled Epstein Files, Phase 1. The binders, embossed with the DOJ seal, contained hundreds of pages, case documents. Expectations were sky high, but the result was a dud. The documents were heavily redacted and held no new information, leading even Trump-friendly personalities to express disappointed or mock the fanfare. The spectacle of influencers posing with shiny binders for photos only for the content to be trivial caused widespread derision. It appeared the promise was not delivering in substance. Epstein Files Phase 1 binders distributed to social media influencers at the White House in February 2025. Despite months of buildup, this initial release contained no bombshell revelations. After the stumble, Trump's team insisted more was coming, hence Phase 1. Bondi, in a series of interviews, promised that hundreds more pages were being reviewed for a second release. Senator Blackburn told his supporters the February files were just the beginning and that additional disclosures were on the way. However, by mid-2025, it became clear that the so-called Phase 2 was also a flop. The DOJ FBI's exhaustive review concluded there was nothing explosive to release, no secret client list, no uncharged, no conspirators to indict. They released a memo in July of 2025 stating this plainly and even took the extraordinary step of publishing surveillance footage around Epstein's cell to quash murder rumors. In that memo, Trump's DOJ bluntly said, perpetuating unfounded theories about Epstein serves no good end. This was essentially the death knell of the promise. Trump's own stance evolved from enthusiasm to exasperation. In early 2025, he still spoke as if the truth would come out. But as his officials began publicly contradicting the conspiracies, Trump pivoted. At a July 8th, 2025 cabinet meeting, when a reporter tried to press Bondi and Epstein theories, like whether Epstein has been a foreign agent, which that would probably be the Mossad, right? Maybe. Trump interjected with clear irritation. Are you people still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This is what I'm talking about. This is that thing that's bothering me so much where he's waving his hands and everything. Right? Are you people still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? That is unbelievable, he snapped, calling Epstein this guy, this creep, and suggesting it was time to move on. And that's also by The Atlantic. He even scolded that with everything else going on, citing major Texas flood disaster at the time, it is absurd to focus on Epstein. This was a dramatic reversal from a man whose campaign had implied Epstein's secrets would be a priority. Trump's abrupt time to move on message shocked and angered his base. It sounded like a betrayal of his campaign promise, and it was exactly what conspiracy believers didn't want to hear. They interpreted it as, now you're telling us to drop it? Following this, Trump tried to damage control but stuck by the official findings. He defended Bondi against the backlash, saying nobody could have worked harder and praising her efforts. He also personally dismissed Elon Musk's insinuations, calling them old news and repeating that he was not friendly with Epstein and nothing had nothing to do with it. And this is ABC News. In other words, Trump shifted to protecting himself, distracting from Epstein rather than chasing Epstein's hidden truths. For many MAGA world, this evolution was nothing short of lightning bolt. Far-right influencers turned on Trump in fury after the FBI memo and Trump's move on comment Prominent voices like Laura Loomer and Alex Jones lambasted the president. On social media, formerly loyal Trump fans rage. Why is the Trump administration protecting pedophiles? One asked poignantly. The Libertarian Party in Pennsylvania's official account replied to Trump's defender, "You say he's a promise keeper," with a straight face after the lies about Epstein. Complete bogus. Marnes spread depicting Trump's team as the same reptilian elites they once vowed to expose. Marjorie Taylor Greene voiced what many felt: no one believes there's not a client list. This is a shameful cover-up to protect the most heinous elites. That tweet encapsulated the basest sense of betrayal. They accused Trump's own appointees, Bondi, Patel, Bongino, of having sold out or been co-opted by the deep state. Some conspiracists concocted coping theories, e.g. that Trump had secretly seized the list to use as leverage, but mainly simply felt let down. Thus, Trump's bold campaign promise evolved into a major credibility crisis. A promise made to court the 17th letter of the alphabet, an ultra MAGA crowd ended up splintering his support. As the Atlantic observed, the about face on the Epstein files is splintering MAGA world, and many Trump allies are feeling betrayed. By mid-2025, there was one talk of MAGA civil war over the Epstein issue, with even some MAGA hat burnings in protest. I spoke about that earlier. That's from the Daily Kos. Trump, the rare keeper, his staff touted him to be, had failed to keep this promise in their eyes. The Epstein Client List, once a rallying cry, became a source of rebellion among his base. In conclusion, Donald Trump did explicitly promise to expose Epstein's secrets and initially doubled down on that pledge after the 2024 election. But when those promises yielded next to nothing, Trump's stance shifted to dismissing the Epstein talk altogether. This U-turn deeply alienated a segment of his most ardent supporters, illustrating the perils of embracing a conspiracy-laden issue. Once you validate it, you're held to it. The evolution of Trump's Epstein promise from campaign trail applause line to governing headache was one of the more striking storylines of the post-2024 political landscape. Timeline of key Epstein-related moments, 2023 to 2025. July 2023, Epstein's name resurfaces in news as the U.S. Virgin Islands lawsuit against P.J. Morgan for allegedly enabling Epstein moves forward. Though not directly part of the campaign, it keeps public interest in Epstein alive. Right-wing media speculates whether court proceedings will reveal names of Epstein's associates, hinting at Bill Clinton or other political figures. December 2023, Trump world figures began hyping the Epstein client list in earnest. In an interview clip widely shared in MAGA circles, Kash Patel asserts that the reason the list hasn't been released is because of who's on that list, insinuating people like Bill Gates are suppressing it. Patel angrily asks why House Republicans can't get the list, adding, "Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are." The rhetoric builds anticipation that a GOP-led government would finally unveil Epstein's secrets. January 6, 2024, new court records names of Epstein associates from prior civil cases are unsealed. This sets off a wave of conspiracy chatter online. NPR reports false accusations flying on social media, tying unnamed high-profile figures, but not actually in the documents, to Epstein. Conspiracy forums also circulate claims that any publicized info is not the real story, feeding a belief that a deeper truth is being withheld. January 2024, sensing the buzz, Trump's campaign suddenly integrates the Epstein issue. At a conservative conference in Florida, Trump is asked if he'd release Epstein files. He replies in the affirmative, signaling this a campaign promise. This is on Fox News. Around that same time, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican TN, delivers speeches and tweets vowing to pursue Epstein's client list and hold predators accountable, reflecting a broader GOP effort to show toughness on this issue. March 2024, in the Democrat primaries, most candidates avoid Epstein topics. However, during a debate Q&A, one moderator asked if the candidates believe Epstein died by unaliving, highlighting how mainstream the question had become. Candidates like Biden stick to the official findings, while outside candidate RFK Jr., known for conspiracies, suggests that there are unanswered questions drawing some media attention. Excuse me. I have these allergies still. Summer 2024, the general election campaign heats up. No Epstein bombshells emerge from ongoing legal cases, but the issue remains in the background. In July, Sound of Freedom, a film about child trafficking, becomes a surprise hit among conservatives. Its success dovetails with 17 letter of the alphabet themes. MAGA influencers especially link it to Epstein, saying the film underlines why we need the Epstein list exposed. Trump hosts a screening and again suggests his DOJ would go after the traffickers at the highest level, a veiled reference interpreted as Epstein related. September 2024, Donald Trump on the Lex Friedman podcast, he states, "Yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein files, no problem." When asked about releasing all Epstein information, this is one of Trump's clearest on-record commitments regarding the Epstein files and is widely shared in pro-Trump media. September 2024, Dan Bongino, still a popular right-wing podcaster, proclaims on air that the Epstein client list is going to rock the Democratic Party and that elites are hiding it. At the same time, former Fox News Tucker Carlson, by now hosting a web show, runs segments insinuating that Epstein's secrets implicate figures like Clinton's and even hints at CIA involvement, fueling pre-election anti-establishment sentiment. Late October 2024, in the final campaign stretch, Trump holds a massive rally at Madison Square Garden October 27th. While he doesn't name Epstein, speakers at the rally against degenerate elites, they rail. So the atmosphere is thick with conspiracy-laden rhetoric. References are made to child predators in Washington. Observers note it as Trump's doubting down on the playing to the base with no attempt to moderate. Epstein's scandal, though unspoken, is part of the subtext energizing the crowd. November 5th, 2024, Election Day, the Epstein issue, while not a top policy issue, has become a motivating factor for some voters. Exit polls later show a notable percentage of Trump's voters mentioning pedophiles in government or sex trafficking rings as a reason for their vote, a reflection of Epstein QAnon influence on grassroots political engagement. Meanwhile, some Biden voters cite Restore Truth and mention their alarm at conspiracy theories in politics, implicitly including the Epstein matter. Late November 2024, with results decided hypothetically, Trump winning a narrow victory, pro-Trump online forums celebrate not just the win, but the coming storm. 17th letter of the alphabet parlance for mass arrests. Oh yeah, David Wilcock's been saying that since 2012. I just want to throw that in there. Epstein's client list is frequently mentioned in these jubilant posts as believers think now it's only a matter of time. On the other side, QAnon skeptic Republicans privately express worry that the base expects too much on the Epstein front. January 20th, 2025, inauguration of Donald Trump. After contested election and legal battles in the scenario, in his inaugural address for his second term, Trump alludes to finishing what we started and exposing the corruption and evil that was hidden. Many interpreted this as a nod to the Epstein pledge, among other things. Pam Bondi is confirmed as Attorney General, and almost immediately she sets in motion the review of the Epstein case materials per Trump's directive. January 31st, 2025, Kash Patel is confirmed as FBI director. At his confirmation hearing, senators grill him on his past sentiments about Epstein. Patel reiterates that he will follow the law and evidence, but also says transparency will be a priority. Senator Blackburn extracts a promise that he will publish the Epstein files when able. This promise is cited in news reports as an unprecedented commitment by an FBI director to publicize case files. February 2025, Phase 1, Epstein files released. On February 27th, the White House stages an event where right-wing social media influencers Jack Posobiec, Rogan, DC Drano, O'Hanley are invited to receive white binders stamped Epstein Files Phase 1. Photo of them walking out of the West Wing, proudly holding the binders. Flood X and Twitter, or X Twitter. However, as these influencers examine the contents, the disillusionment sets in. The files consist mostly of previously available documents. Can we read that part? Bondi's media tour, mounting pressure. Bondi appears on Fox News multiple times to manage expectations. In one early March interview with Maria Bartiromo? I don't watch her. Bartiromo presses the MAGA group is mad that we don't know about the Epstein files. Are you going to give us any information? Bondi assures that teams at DOJ and FBI are reviewing thousands of documents and that we will get out as much as we can, as fast as we can. She mentions the huge volume of video evidence, much of child pornography that legally can't be released, to justify the slow pace. Behind the scenes, sources say Bondi is pressuring FBI Director Patel to find something, anything she can release to appease the base. April 2025, congressional hearing on declassification, focus on JFK files, etc. At the House Oversight hearing, Representative Nancy Mace, Republican, South Carolina, chairing a declassification task force, brings up Epstein alongside unrelated issues like Hunter Biden's laptop and COVID's origin. She asserts she asserts sunshine is the best medicine and says she wants to see documents regarding Epstein released. This moment is notable as a public affirmation by a Trump ally that Epstein files should be out. It underscores how much the issue had penetrated GOP talking points. Democrats at the hearing countered that the focus should be current national security issues, not salacious conspiracies. May 18th, 2025, Bongino and Patel publicly acknowledged Epstein's death was unenlivened. A significant Fox Business interview on Sunday morning features with Bertinomo, the two top FBI officials, state unequivocally that Epstein killed himself, citing the evidence. You know unenlivened when you see one. And that's what that was, Patel says. Bongino added, I've seen the whole file. He unalived himself. This is the first time MAGA-aligned officials have contradicted the widespread base belief that Epstein was murdered. It causes an immediate stir online. Thousands of MAGA supporters erupt in anger. That same day, Bongino tweets a defense of his position. I have reviewed the case. Jeffrey Epstein unalived himself. There is no evidence indicating otherwise. If new evidence surfaces, I'm happy to reevaluate. His replies are filled with outrage from former adoring fans. Notorious decision denier Joe Altman accuses Bongino of betrayal and of refusing to reinstate truth tellers in the FBI. Far right-wing activist Mindy Robinson unleashes a tirade. Effing sellouts. Epstein didn't kill himself, and the Las Vegas shooting was covered up by our own government. The Epstein issue has now opened split mega figures, a preview of a broader fallout to come. June 2025, Elon Musk's feud with Trump goes public, bringing Epstein claims into the mix. Musk, who's been informally advising the Trump administration on tech policy, resigns or is pushed out of a role. Details unclear, but there's a rift. On June 5th, Musk posts on X, Trump is in the Epstein files. That's why they haven't really been released. This explosive claim came from such a high-profile figure, garners massive attention, millions of views, before Musk deletes it. It triggers media questions for the White House. I wonder, like, when you delete your X post or your social media post, is that kind of like being in court where, the objection, Your Honor, the person is stating unverified, that's hearsay, sustained, overruled. You deleted it, so you're not necessarily, it's like, well, I said it, but strike it from the court. It doesn't work that way, really, does it? Okay, so it triggers media questions for the White House. Reporters ask Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt whether Trump's name appears in Epstein's documents. Leavitt denies any suppression and says Musk's comment is baseless and irresponsible. Nonetheless, House Democrats immediately seize on the Musk comment. See next point. July 7th. Now we're getting close to where we're at today because, today is the 13th. So July 7th. 2025, DOJ FBI memo released to the public after internal review of 300 gigabytes of data and thousands of physical evidence pieces. The DOJ and FBI issue a 2-page memo concluding they found no incriminating client list and no credible evidence of Epstein blackmailing anyone. The memo also reaffirms Epstein's 2019 death was unalivened and notes that most remaining materials like explicit videos cannot be made public. It pointedly says the review found nothing that would justify charges against any uncharged third parties. Essentially, this announces the end of the Epstein files saga. No big revelations forthcoming. July 8th, 2025, House Democrats Jamie Raskin et al. Sent letter to AG Bondi citing Elon Musk's now deleted claim and accusing her of hiding files to protect the president. They demand release of any Epstein documents referencing Trump, as well as unrelated documents like a special counsel report to paint Bondi as generally non-transparent. That same day, media report on friction within the Trump administration over the Epstein issue. It's noted that Bondi's release of files in February upset some White House aides who thought it was handled amateurishly. Trump meets with Bondi and Patel privately amid the uproar. July 10th, 2025, Trump publicly comments, "Move on," and MAGA world erupts. In a cabinet meeting, when pressed about Epstein, Trump makes his "Are you people still talking about this guy? That's unbelievable" remark. by effectively downplaying the Epstein issue. Trump confirms his shift in tone that evening. Trump posts on Truth Social defending Bondi as a great American. Nobody could have worked harder on the Epstein review, telling supporters that sometimes the truth isn't what you want to hear. The Truth Social post because Trump's most ratioed ever, receiving tens of thousands of angry replies from followers who feel betrayed. Prominent MAGA personalities like Laura Loomer, Mike Cernovich, and Ann Coulter, though Coulter's a longtime critic, she joins the pile-on, blasts Trump for going soft on Clinton's friend. Memes trend with the hashtag EpsteinGate, showing MAGA folk literally burning their red MAGA hats in protest. July 12th to the 13th, taking us up today, the fallout continues. Representative Ro Khanna introduced his amendment to force a vote on releasing all Epstein files to the public. It attracts considerable media attention, framing it as a Democrat Democrat capitalized on MAGA split. Fox News runs a headline: MAGA world erupts over Trump's defense of Bondi and Epstein files fallout. Conservative media figures scrambled. Some, like Steve Bannon, tried to calm the base by suggesting Trump must have a 5D chess plan with the files. Others, like Newsmax hosts, gingerly criticized the administration for fumbling the issue. Polls show a dip in Trump's approval among Republicans, attributable largely to hardcore conspiracy believers losing faith. The timeline underscores how the Epstein scandal went from a dormant case to a live wire in 2024-2025. What began as a campaign rhetoric, Trump leveraging Epstein to attack elites, morphed into a serious governance issue and inter-party feud. By mid-2025, the promise to reveal Epstein's secrets had effectively collapsed, but not before significantly influencing public discourse and perception during the 2024 election cycle. And that's it. That is, and I have been going forever today. Okay. Okay, so TPE says, I wanted to add to the show. Got info on Isaac's video you're playing. It's fine, no worries. SDFFS. Okay. Are you still there, Phoenix? Are you still there? Just curious. Okay, I want to pop over maybe to David Schroeder and see if did he stream? Oh, he's going right now. Okay, you know what? How long have I been? I've been going for 4 hours. Oh yeah, we can go a little bit longer. Let's pop over to David for a moment.
Or you subtract, you do not change your DNA. And your DNA is what dictates what you are. That's how it works. And so I pray for people who are trans because I think it's being pushed. I think it's being pushed. And a lot of people who are really sad and miserable in their lives think that's going to help them. And statistically speaking, there's a much greater propensity to suicide in the trans community than any other community. And, you know, and I personally, as a guy, do not know why any guy would ever want to become a woman, ever. Oh my God. Women have it so much more art.
Okay, I don't know. I don't want to really watch him right now. So I'm asking Phoenix, if he wants to join me on the stream, and we can do it now. Let me play a little more of Isaac Cappy, and on the song, and I'll just wait and see.
Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein? Is Epstein Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep, all of the above.
So is Epstein really Bryan Singer? I mean, yeah, because actually now we're getting into the Open Secret documentary. So I'm just saying, like, it just seems like there's just some.
All of the above. Who is Epstein? Epstein is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Dersh was there too. See, here's something that really made a kind of weird epiphany to me today, is when I figured out that Gabe Hoffman lives in West Palm Beach, Florida, and is an investor in West Palm Beach, Florida, and had a documentary about this guy, Bryan Singer. But isn't Bryan Singer Epstein as well? Were they maybe setting up a little play?
Okay, and so, wow, I'm really looking at this with different eyes right now. I really am. I get it now. I get what all this crazy is right now in some ways. Why these people, like, why everybody's, this group, this thing that we're involved in. Right? I feel involved in it. I have a better understanding today by doing this show. I don't know if you do. And you know what? It's really hard. It's really hard to open up your mind and go, oh my God, wait a second, and look at something in a different way. But it's really important. I think it's really important for us to do that. Like, to not think that just because you see that what you see and what you hear and what you think is happening, what evidence you think is out there or not out there, or speculations or correlations. I am sick of people taking a story and then throwing a whole bunch of names and making it into a big hodgepodge of something that doesn't really associate, while you're actually harming somebody. Like, for example, David Schroeder. For example, David Schroeder taking me and other people and making us attached to this. We want to call ourselves the truth media. We want to pride ourselves that we care about what we're saying. We do not deserve to wear that hat. We don't. I think it's time that, some of us, and I'm just going to suggest it, really, this should be a real awakening, a real awareness of how we can be manipulated, not only on YouTube, mainstream media, any information that comes down us, any campaign promise that happens. I think the American people, we are quite disillusioned right now about a lot of things, and we should not be happy about this. But hopefully there will be a greater understanding that will come from what is happening right now. And on that note, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. God bless.
He ain't no Saint Germain, no clown, no name. He plays the game sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Go up in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on a stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. Fast, can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. Spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole.